Jordan Jankus. I'm with the Arc of Westchester, and we have a program here where we promote the use of personal technology for people with developmental and intellectual disabilities. And we started this series of Take a Bunch launch times just so that people can hear from various tech vendors about their products, learn a bit more, and if you're interested, please get in touch with the presenter. Today we're going to be talking with Anthony Matarese from Capti Voice is going to be our presenter today. I am going to turn things over to Anthony. I'm going to switch the screen to him as the presenter.
All right. Thank you very much, Jordan. Thank you for having me today. Yeah, my name is Anthony. I'm one of the outreach managers with Capti Voice, and my job is to talk to teachers and educators across the country about educational technology, but of course specifically about Cathy. And just to give you a little bit of insight about myself and about the company before we get going here, not to bore you, of course, but to just give you some context. I was actually I'm a certified and experienced special ed teacher here in New York State. And after joining Capti, I, of course, now talk to teachers all over the country about EdTech and trying to solve their issues when it comes to providing technology as solutions to those issues. Capti in general has been in development for about 5 years now. It's won numerous awards, including the 2014 FCC Chairman's Award and the just recently, actually, EdTech Digest named us Best Special Needs Solution for 2017. So we're really, really proud about that. We're actually based out here in Stony Brook, New York, and we were founded by a group of professors, accessibility professors who studied computer accessibility and trying to make computers and software more accessible for students with varying disabilities. And we're driven by research and development and, of course, educator feedback. So all of our features, and we release new features every single month, and all of those features are directly recommended to us by our current users, by the teachers I talk to. So we move forward and we implement new tools. When we do so, we do that based on direct teacher feedback. We're in over 12 states right now, including California, Colorado, Texas. So we're really expanding very, very quickly, and I'm excited to show this to you today. Just a brief overview of what I plan to cover here. Of course, Capti is one of the most common use cases for Capti is to access Bookshare. So if you're familiar with Bookshare and its library, I'm going to show you briefly how to use Capti to access that Bookshare library. But of course it's not just Bookshare. You can use Capti to access really any type of text file, text document, including PDFs. PDFs especially are very flexible and versatile in the platform, and I'll show you what I mean by that. OCR, which stands for Optical Character Recognition, that is completely built into the platform, and I can show you exactly what I mean by that and demonstrate to you live what it looks like to just take a picture of a document and being able to OCR that right here and showing you exactly what you can do after the conversion process. Capti can be used to make the web more accessible in many ways, and as well as share content, including the ability to wrap assignments around different types of documents. Perhaps a document does not have questions and the teacher wants to provide questions with the document. When they do work with a student, they can do that right in the platform. We have an iOS app. You can access Capti on the iOS App Store by searching Capti, C-A-P-T-I. That is our native Capti iOS app. And it is a really comprehensive app. We really don't skimp on any features. It's very, very the feature parity is there between iOS and the desktop and laptop versions of Capti. And I'll briefly touch on the iOS version as well today. So let's just jump in here, and I will show you exactly what I'm referring to. I'm just going to hide this and bring it over here. Okay.
Anthony, before you go on, if I could just mention, I forgot to mention this before, if anybody has their microphone open, it might be a good idea to close it down, just mute it, because that'll reduce the feedback that we hear. Okay, so you just go onto the control panel, click to mute, and if you have something to say later, please just unmute yourself. Okay, back to Anthony.
Great, thank you. Yeah, so if you wanted to use Capti Voice to access Bookshare, what exactly would that look like? Well, actually, what you're seeing here, maybe I should start by saying this is Capti, by the way. I just went to CaptiVoice.com in my web browser, and I'm able to go ahead and start using it. That means it is a web application. It is a comprehensive web application. It is not a Chrome extension. It is not a Chrome app. You don't have to just use it in Chrome. So we think it is an advantage because of the fact that you could use it in, let's say, Firefox, Internet Explorer, Edge, what have you. So as we move along here, you're going to quickly understand that there are a lot of different, one of the biggest design philosophies that we had when creating Capti was to allow it to be as flexible as possible, to access it on as many different types of devices, access it on as many different types of browsers, platforms, etc. as possible. So right now I'm using it on my MacBook, but I should say you can use this web version on even Chromebooks. So if you do work with any sort of Chromebook devices, maybe students have access to Chromebooks, you could get to Capti very easily, of course, by, again, just going to CaptiVoice.com and logging in. So once you log in, this is what you see. And we're really proud of the user interface. We think it's very easy to use. There's not much of a learning curve here, especially in comparison with some other alternative software that do similar things. This is one of the biggest pain points for us, is to make sure that even the lowest tech of a user could really understand the workflow. And that's why we settled on this idea of playlists. And playlists are what we use, or what we allow users to use, to really organize their materials, collect their content from a variety of sources into these playlists. And I can easily do that if I just go ahead and go back to my pointer here by clicking on this plus button and allowing me to open a playlist using that button. And now what I can do is I can name it whatever I want, assign it keywords, describe it, etc. And what I can, students can do this at a very granular level. They can make a playlist maybe for a certain assignment, or teachers can make a playlist for an entire unit. It really depends, and it really is up to the user how they'd like to organize this stuff. So I have a group of playlists already that were pre-made here based on some classes that I'm taking. So if I open up this global history playlist, you'll see that I have one track in this playlist. And this track is a Word document I typed up in Microsoft Word, and I brought it into Capti using Microsoft OneDrive, which is Microsoft's cloud storage service. So when I say track, I mean really any type of text document. You'd be, again, hard-pressed to find the text document that doesn't work here. PDFs, Word docs, Google Drive docs, EPUB, DAISY, PowerPoint, really anything that, for the most part, that a student is working with, they can bring into Capti as a track into any of their playlists. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into Bookshare now and import a book from Bookshare. So what does that look like? Well, now that I'm in this global history playlist, I'm going to go ahead and select this plus button and then go to Bookshare. So Bookshare is a separate source that is fully integrated. And I'm taken right into the Bookshare library. And if you have any experience with Bookshare at all, especially the Bookshare website, you're going to know right off the bat that this is going to be a lifesaver for you. You don't have to deal with the Bookshare website. It can be very clunky, and not being able to use the text-to-speech voices maybe that you'd like to use on the website. So I'll show you exactly why this is quickly becoming the #1 reason that teachers are using Capti in the first place, is to access Bookshare. So now that what I can do is I could simply choose a book here that I want to bring into my global history playlist. Maybe I want to search for a particular title. Maybe I'm looking for something on Aztecs. I just simply search by title, and here are all the books that are available on Bookshare. And let's see, I'm going to go ahead and open this one called Aztec Philosophy, and then select Post. You'll see a notification telling you something's loading here on the bottom, and then what I can do is select Playlist up top. what you'll see here is an orange notification now telling me that something is currently loading. And you can always click on this to see exactly what is loading, and you can queue up multiple tracks at one time. So if you wanted to just load, go through the library of Bookshare and pick books one after the other, they will queue themselves up here, so you don't have to worry about loading it first and then going back to upload a new one. But this one loads in, in a few seconds. It doesn't take long at all. And it appears as a brand new track. It even tells you exactly where it came from. And what I can do is I can click on this arrow here to expose a few new options, such as sections, which formats a nice table of contents for me. So I can jump from section or chapter to chapter. What I can then do is, let's say I wanted to use text-to-speech. Well, all I have to do for that is use my mouse and double-click anywhere in the document, and you'll see that it will highlight each word as I double-click on it. And what that's doing is that it's changing my reading position. So what I have to do now is just press play up here using these easy-to-use playback controls to listen to this text using a text-to-speech voice.
Western philosophy standardly defines metaphysics as the study of the nature, structure, and constitution of reality at the most comprehensive and synoptic level.
So I'm actually using, if you could tell, an Australian English voice, and one of the best reasons to use Capti is the wide variety of text-to-speech voices available. So when we work with schools or we work with organizations, we provide them with an account where they can choose whichever voices they'd like to use, whether it be the voices from Acapella or the voices from Ivona, or they're actually Amazon now. Amazon bought Ivona, but you can choose from both of these libraries here in terms of putting together your own voice library on your account. And if I click on voices up top, you'll see just a brief glimpse at all of the voices that are here. And these are all the English-speaking voices, by the way. So these are these are just a fraction of what is here in the library, and these are all the a cappella voices that I had chosen. You'll see different accents from around the world, and you'll also notice that I didn't have to download or install any of these voices. So if I wanted to choose Will, change my voice to Will as my preferred voice, I just simply select choose, and now Will is my preferred voice. If I wanted to, I can also slow Will down. I could change the words per minute in terms of how fast or how slow Will reads. If I wanted to change Will to maybe, let's say 80, we could do, actually I could type it in too. I could say 85 words per minute. And then I can go back to my playlist by clicking playlist. And I could go ahead, let's say I want to change to a new sentence, maybe I could do that, and then select play.
Metaphysics aims to advance our understanding of the nature of things broadly construed.
And it will read at the speed that you had set it at. So it's very easy to just go in, find a good voice. There are lots of options to choose from. So a user would really not have a hard time finding something that they feel most comfortable with listening to. And these voices are, I should mention, of course, designed for long-form engagement. They're not something like a Siri on your iPhone, which are more designed for short instructions and very short statements. These are supposed to be used for this purpose, listening to text and keeping up the engagement for a longer period of time. So what else could you do with this Bookshare book, now that you've imported it into Capti? Well, for one thing, I can now change the colors and the fonts and really change the entire look of this book. So I can click on this T icon here up top, and I'd be able to do a few of these things. I could change the color. So maybe I wanted to present it with a higher contrast between the typeface and the background. I can change the color. I can also change the font, and we support a lot of extremely readable fonts, including Open Dyslexic, which is a great resource for users with dyslexia. It helps to ground the words a bit more, increase readability. I could also go ahead and change the width of the margins. So for example, I can even hide this playlist sidebar here, and you will see that it will increase the room for me to read the text itself. And then I can go into you know, exactly how wide or how narrow the margins of the text would be from here. So maybe if I wanted to focus the reading a bit more into the middle of the page, I could do that. I can also use these contextual magnification buttons here on the bottom right to zoom in as far as I need to. So you can zoom into the text. And something else to note is that Capti was actually, a little bit of history, was originally designed as a screen reader. So we have lots of keyboard shortcuts to use here, including this very standard keyboard shortcut where it allows you to magnify text and the screen even more, and the user interface will dynamically interact or I should say react to the level of zoom that you were using. So there's again, this is just with that this Bookshare book that I had just been imported from Bookshare. But you can see if I switch to the other track I have here, all the same settings. So you're changing the settings, we call them global settings. You're changing it for the entire account, and you don't have to worry about changing it each and every time you want to look at a track. So you could just set the cosmetics of the text to however that user best or most feels most comfortable with, and they can go ahead and use those settings for any of the tracks that they currently have open or any tracks that they'd like to import in the future. A couple of other things you could do with text inside of Capti is the ability to actively read and actively listen to materials. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually import a new track here for that. I'm going to go into my hard drive. So again, I'm in my global history playlist, and I'm opening up this plus button here. And again, here are the list of all my sources that I can work with. So I can choose local file, which is the first one, and go into the device that I'm currently using. And if I choose file, I have a PDF here in this folder, and I'm going to go ahead and open this up. And I'm going to show you exactly what happens when you open a PDF. It actually gives you an option here. So I can say, okay, I'm going to import this PDF in its rich text version, or I'm going to use the original layout. So if I use the original layout, it's going to import, it's going to do exactly as it says, import that PDF in its original format, maintain all of the entire structure of the document. So if I click on this track that appears here after I upload it, here's that PDF. And I can turn the pages here, I can use these buttons here to turn pages. I could adjust exactly how I navigate through this document. So maybe I wanted to just jump from word to word. I can use these buttons to do that too. This is great for accessibility purposes if students are using a screen reader maybe to access the document. You can really comb through the text however you'd like. I can search for text as well using this text box here. So if I'm looking for a particular heading, I can go ahead and jump right to this particular heading, just like that, searching economics. But the key thing to note is that even though this is a PDF in its original layout, I could still use text-to-speech.
The Aztec economy was based on agriculture.
I could still zoom in using the contextual icons. Of course, PDFs are great when you do require to have it zoomed in, and it still is very clear and very legible. Now, what else could you do with text that you could also do with PDFs here that you're seeing in their original layout? What could you do with the text? Well, I could select the text using my mouse. I could right-click, and then you see a whole new list of tools here for you to work with. I could translate a whole bunch of text at once, just like that. It will give me a translation in text form. But if it's a more common language, we support over 20 different foreign language text-to-speech voices. You can listen to that translation just by clicking on the speaker icon here.
El principio básico de la organización social azteca era.
And it will read that translation for you. I could change the translation on the fly by selecting language. And you'll see that we support a whole bunch of languages here, over 100 different languages for text translation. Some of them, I would say, again, over 20 of them have voice companions, so you could also listen to them. So maybe if I wanted to switch to maybe another Romance language here, we'll try French. And you can see it switches to French, and I can use the speaker to listen to it.
Le principe fondamental de L est commercial dièse 39.
So it's very, very easy to utilize the translation functions, and to still being able to listen to those translations was also very important to us. So you could just click the speaker to access the audio support for those translations. So if I select some text, maybe I wanted to select a specific word, I can go ahead and select a specific word and select translate. And what you'll also get when you select maybe a smaller phrase or a word when you translate, you get contextual translation. So you'll get examples of phrases that you use the word in, and you'll be able to listen to those translations, those phrases as well.
Principe de base.
And you'd be able to work with really any language for those contextual translations. If you wanted to define words, you could also do that by selecting define. And you get a comprehensive definition that you could also listen to. You can click on the word itself, and it will also show you, will take you to its dictionary where you can actually take a look at the context of that particular word. We're just a little sneak peek for you guys. So we're actually working on currently a new feature that we're calling word lists that will allow users to pin words or definitions or translations into the sidebar area. Maybe they want to read the translation side by side. They'll be able to do that. Maybe they want to just keep track of words that they're having difficulty with. Users will soon also be able to do that. So this word list feature, we're currently it's underway in terms of development, and we're anticipating a release of that within the month. If you select text and right-click, you can also annotate and highlight. So you're able to, let's see, I can add a note here. And you could also, of course, listen to your note.
This is important.
I can then go ahead and select a highlight color. And here is that highlight. And all of your notes are kept track of right in the sidebar area, just where everything else is. And I can open up this particular PDF document by clicking on the arrow and selecting highlights. And here's that highlight I just made with the note. If you wanted to bookmark a section, you do the same thing. Select the title, right-click, bookmark. So you'll notice we're not using a toolbar where you have to go back and forth and change the type of cursor you're using, like there's some other similar software out there. You just simply select text, right-click on what you want to work with, and then you go ahead and you have access to all those tools right there. It's especially useful for students who are using screen readers or need that accessibility boost. Toolbars are always never the way to go when it comes to making something more accessible. You could also export all these annotations and highlights on anything, not just PDFs. So if I wanted to do that, I just right-click on the track and select Export Annotations, and you would be given a separate text file with all of your notes, all of your highlights, bookmarks, things like that, and they would be nicely formatted in this rich text format, which can be opened in Microsoft Word, Google Docs. It's a very versatile format, so you can really do anything with it now. You can edit it. It tells you the date that you did all this work, the playlist, whatever the document was you were working on, so all that information is there. This leads me to talking about OCR and optical character recognition. A lot of documents that teachers get access to, educators have access to, are not accessible. So for example, image files like JPGs or TIFFs. These are oftentimes given because someone would use a scanner to scan a paper document. And they would be given these image files in return. But these are flat images. They're not dynamic. Students can't do anything with them other than read them. They can't be read with text-to-speech voices either, because again, they have not been quote-unquote OCR scanned. And OCR, if you don't know, of course, stands for optical character recognition. It is the ability for the machine to recognize the characters or the words on the actual image. OCR is built into Capti natively. So what that means is, if I had a picture on my hard drive, which I just so happen to, I'm going to go into my hard drive again, and here's an image that I have. I took this picture, if you can see it, with my iPhone. It was just a picture of a worksheet. It is, not a great picture. It has some shadows on the bottom. and it's not centered, but all the text is in view. And I'm just going to go ahead and import it. So again, I'm not doing anything special here. I'm just bringing in a picture into my global history playlist, and this picture will now become a new track. And once it does, this will allow me to listen to that image using text-to-speech voices, using any text-to-speech voice that is currently in Capti. So now you can see here's the new track. I can click it, and you can see here's that picture, and you can see right off the bat, it's not all the shadows are gone. It looks more like a scan than a picture, and you can see it actually understood that this was a URL, so I can now click on this. So it does a really good job of identifying the text, identifying the structure, and presenting it to the user in a very easy to use format. So now what I can do is I could double click anywhere in the text, change my reading position, and now I can press play on it and listen.
The first Native American group to build mounts in what is now the United States often are called the Adenines.
So it will understand that these are columns and it won't read across the page. I can go ahead and use all of those active reading tools and translation tools by right-clicking. I can translate this text now. And again, this is a picture I took with my iPhone. So very, very easy, very, very cool, and really, again, easy to bring in and make more accessible, much, much more accessible than what a flat image could do. And I know you're probably thinking that maybe I had set this up and this is a perfect image that I took way back when, and I didn't want to use anything or anything different. Maybe I had a team of assistants help me take this picture. No. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you right here what it looks like to do it via the Capti iOS app. What you're seeing now is the app that we have on the iOS App Store. Here's the icon for it. It's just you can go to the App Store right now and download it for free. CAPTI Capti. It'll be the first result. And we actually just released a very, very big update for it. So we changed a few things around. So if you were used to using it before, you may see some differences here. But it looks a little different, but it does all, for the most part, all the same things that you could do on your MacBook or on your Chromebook. So right now what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up a playlist. So here are all my playlists. And I'm just going to choose, let's just choose short stories for now. And I'm going to, again, press here's that green plus button again. And here are a list of all the sources that I can choose from. All the same sources, as you can tell, all the cloud storage, Bookshare is here, but this time you can actually get access to your camera on the device. So I can go ahead and select camera, and here you go. Here is, I'm now in my camera on my iPad, and here's a worksheet that I have, not a worksheet, but more like a flyer that Bookshare had given us. So here's a Bookshare flyer that we have here. And what I could do is I could just take a picture of this. It doesn't have to be perfect. There you go. All right. So here's that picture. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and say use photo. And let's just name this Bookshare. And you can name your track right here and select add. So now it's going to add this picture. If I go back to my short story playlist, and you'll see this blinking arrow here in the upper right that I can click on and select open tracks or loading tracks. And here is that Bookshare track currently loading in progress. And it's going to take a couple of extra seconds because right now what it's doing is OCR scanning that document. But it should not take long at all. And here's that document. And if you recall, it was completely off-centered. It wasn't in focus at all. The lighting was not perfect. But it really does a wonderful job of identifying the text. And now, most importantly, I can use text-to-speech. I can press play, and while you won't be able to hear it, unfortunately, because of the way it's hooked up, trust me, it is reading. You can see the highlights happening on your screen. So it will read with any text-to-speech voice that you have access to on your web version, on your laptop. It will read with that same voice. I can still use my finger to select text. Let's say I wanted to select this particular heading here. Let's try this one. I just choose my finger here. I could select this text, and I could say annotate, and I could take notes on it. Even on my iPad, I can even highlight as well. I could even translate. So if I could select some text here, let's see, and then I can say translate. It will translate that for me as well. Same deal with the languages. So a lot of the same tools are available. And again, this is a picture I just took right now using the iOS app, and it does a wonderful job of OCR scanning it right on the spot for you. You don't no longer have to use a separate app to OCR scan materials. You can do it right here in Capti, and then automatically bring it into whatever playlist you'd like to work with. I should say that the Capti app is, in a lot of ways, the most powerful way to use Capti, period. And that includes the ability to add web pages to any playlist in order to make them more accessible. You could do this on the web version as well, but I'll show you how to do it right now on iPad. What I can do is I can simply press the green plus button, and you'll see an option here for a web browser. So we have a built-in web browser that you can use in order to extract text from the web and import that text as a new track in any of your Capti playlists. And in order to do that, all I would have to do is click on this plus button here on the bottom, and it says add to playlist, and that's it. So now what's going to happen is it's going to extract just the text of this article. All of the advertisements and any sort of navigation are completely stripped away. So I can go back to my playlist now, and here is that article. Tap on it, and as you can see, it will actually adapt to all of my setting changes that I wanted to make. And I can even change the settings on iOS too. So I can change the fonts, the text, maybe even the colors if I wanted to go with a darker background. Here's that entire Inca Empire Wikipedia article. But as easy as that was, we actually make it even easier for you to add documents from or add web pages into your playlist. You don't even have to open the page. What you could do is, I use Wikipedia for this example because there are lots of links on the page. I could, let's say I wanted to add this document from this Peru Wikipedia article. I don't have to open the article and wait for it to load first. I could just take my finger, hold down on the link itself, and I could just say add to playlist. And it will add that article directly into my playlist for me right now, and I don't have to open the page. I could also adjust the way that I'm actually looking at this current page. I could just view the links, and this is especially great for those students who might be using VoiceOver and require a more simpler view of the page. I could just simply click on this link icon in the upper right, and now it's going to show me every single link on this page, and I could just go down this list and start adding them directly. So I don't have to worry about holding my finger down or dealing with any of that in order to add the article. But wait, that's not all. You can also copy and paste URLs as well. So let's say you had something on your clipboard. If you had, let's say, copied this link, right? Maybe you were copying and pasting things. You can now just copy. You can use this option that says copied link, and it will understand what link you just copied, and you can just tap on that, and it will add it automatically as a new track. Done. On iOS, you actually also have the ability to create a track from scratch. So if you wanted the student or whoever you're working with, maybe yourself even, if you wanted to just type something, you could just type something right here and there. You can name the track whatever you want, and it becomes a custom track. So I could just type in a whole bunch of nonsense here, and then click Add. And then when I go back to my playlist, here's everything that I was just adding, and here is that custom track that I just created. So it will, again, in many ways, Capti on iOS is certainly the most powerful way to use Capti. But like I said, you can add web pages on the web version of Capti as well by using this Add to Capti bookmarklet that we have available in the platform. You just add it to your browser, and then you can go ahead and search the web at your discretion and extract text using this Add to Capti button. I talk to a lot of educators who are, oftentimes struggle to find ways to distribute content to students, or a lot of, employees of organizations who distribute materials to various members of such organizations, and oftentimes maybe even in K through 12 higher institutions, disability centers, for example. I just did a webinar for the Access Text Network, and a lot of employees of disability centers in the colleges and universities are oftentimes like using USB drives to hand to students to use, to hand off PDFs to them. But what Capti can do is you can use this platform to actually distribute materials, and it's actually really quick and easy. So ultimately, if you had a user that needed the supports in this platform to access text, you want to share that material with them in this platform. You don't want to have to go to Google Drive, share that material in Google, and then have to have them be responsible to add it to Capti so they can listen to text with text-to-speech. You don't want to have them download it from their email, from an email that you send them, and then add it to Capti. You just want to share it in the platform itself, and they have access to it right then and there. So what does that look like? Well, as a quote-unquote educator or teacher in our organization accounts, you could just simply select readers and sharing. And that will allow you to pick any playlist that you want to work with. And now what I can do is I can start sharing this global history playlist with anyone in your current organization. So again, when we work with schools or organizations, we provide them with a quote-unquote organization account where multiple users can have access to Capti in that account, and anyone in that organization can share materials between each other. So right now I'm sharing this global history playlist with this person here. I'm just going to, he's a student, I'm going to say you can just view this playlist. I do not want him to edit it. So he's just going to be able to read the stuff that's in there. So what does that look like on the other end? If something was shared with you, how do you know you'll have access to it? Well, as a student, let's say, for example, someone had shared something with me as a student. I can go onto my iPad here, and you'll see I have access to this global history playlist, right? So I open this up, but I don't see anything here. And you're going to say, well, I thought that you had just shared stuff with me, and that you had added all this stuff to this playlist, so where is it all? Well, all I have to do is pull down with my finger in my playlist section here to synchronize my materials. And now that it's going to begin to synchronize, you're going to see things start loading into my playlist. So I can open up the arrow here, loading tracks, and here are all those tracks that we were just adding on the web version. They will now start to load onto the device of the user here on the iOS device. So it's just very easy to synchronize between devices when it comes to materials and being able to share things. And I should say, once you do synchronize materials on the iPad, you no longer need an internet connection to access that stuff. So you could, share a Bookshare book with somebody, have them synchronize it to their iOS device, and they can read that book now without having to worry about whether or not they have a Wi-Fi connection or a cellular connection. They can just access that text with the text-to-speech voice that they want. So it's very, very versatile in that way. And things, of course, will synchronize both ways. So if you add things to a playlist that you have access to on iOS, you can then go back to the web version, and then, if you could always hit the synchronize button to make sure it's all updated, and it will synchronize all that material for you from either direction, whether you're going from mobile to desktop or desktop to mobile. The last thing I do want to show you here today is this feature we call assignments, and this is something that we this is an unreleased feature. We're actually releasing it next week, so it's not totally done, but I do want to just give you an idea of what it will do, and that idea is that it will allow, let's say, an educator to wrap text around a particular, or I should say, wrap questions around a particular text. So, for example, let's say you wanted to, let's go to Olmecs and Mayas. Or you know what, how about Aztec philosophy? So let's say you wanted to add some questions to this particular book here. What I could do as an educator is I can just press this plus button in assignments. I could just name this whatever I want. I can then go ahead and assign these questions to a particular playlist here that has the text in it that I'd like to work with. I can add some directions. And now what I could do is start adding questions. So for right now, since we're in the beta form here of this feature, you can only use short answer questions, but very soon you'll be able to add different types of questions like multiple choice, true and false, spelling, things like that. But you can see I'm adding a question here, and here's that question that I just added on the bottom. And now what I want to do is I want a student to answer this particular question. What do I do? Well, I go ahead and assign this to that student. So I'm going to go ahead and assign it to this particular student, and here is, click done, and here is the assigned student, and then I click start. You can see here, now it's telling me the questions assignment I created is now in progress. So as the student, what you're going to see is on the red clipboard is what the students see. They see all the things that have been assigned to them. So they can go ahead and open this up. It tells you exactly where to go. It go ahead and you can listen to the directions. You can open the questions here to listen to the questions themselves. I can now answer a question, and then I can go back, and here's that question that I just answered, and a nice smiley face telling me that I finished it. And then as the teacher can finish that assignment by clicking finish, and then they can go into each individual student to see their answers from their own account. So they don't have to use the same device that the student was using. Everything is pushed to the student and pushed back to the teacher using this feature. So just again, an easy way to wrap questions around this type of material. You know, oftentimes text does not have any sort of questions assigned to it. Maybe the teacher wants to create some classwork or homework out of it. That is one way to go about doing it, using that assignments feature. So yeah, that, you know, as you can see, this Capti is in many ways a universally accessible literacy support platform. You know, that can help students overcome learning disabilities and language barriers. So it has many use cases. It's not just a great tool to use with Bookshare. You know, it's a great way to provide students with all access to, access to all kinds of text from many sources, including Google Drive, the web at large, and even paper documents that have not been computerized. Just in terms of how to get Capti, before we get into the questions here, Capti is free to use. If I just zoom this here, yeah. So Capti is free to use. You can download Capti on CaptiVoice.com. You can download the desktop client of Capti if you'd like. You can sign up and use the web version of Capti for free as well. And of course, like I said earlier, you can just go to the Capti iOS app and download Capti, or I should say the Apple App Store to download the Capti iOS app for free. There are some subscription-based features, however. So stuff like OCR, annotations, seeing images in text. These are things that would require some sort of a premium subscription, either individual or organization. Schools, organizations, disability centers, they can ask for a specific number of users, and we would provide them with those seats. Now, those can, we only charge for students, by the way, so educators that are part of that organization are not charged for. So you really, these organizations, these schools only really need to know how many students they'd like to provide Capti to. The costs can be offset, especially when you're talking about higher ed and colleges, can be offset to students with, at that particular level, depending on how the college sets up providing technology to those students who enroll. And of course, you can always reach out to me, and my contact information is here if you need any sort of information in terms of more details in terms of pricing. I will say that we are certainly the most affordable literacy support platform out there, and that includes at any level. So if you're talking maybe just about 20 or 30 or 40 users as opposed to thousands, either way, we're guaranteeing essentially that we'd be the most affordable. So if you're looking to save money, any sort of budget money that's left over for the year, we would certainly make you a hero in a lot of ways, because we would save you quite a bit. I don't know if Jordan has taken a look at the chat. If there are any questions, I'd be happy to answer them right now.
I don't see any questions yet, but I have some of my own that I could ask you.
Sure.
I was wondering, with the annotation feature, because this seems to me a great resource for somebody that's doing research, that you can use the voice to text, but you can also use the annotation feature.
Yeah.
Are you able to export all those annotations and comments?
Yes, you are. If you go back to, just to demonstrate again what that looks like. So if I go back to any track, you can just right-click on that track and select Export Annotations.
Okay, great.
Be able to do that.
That's wonderful. And you can change that. One of the questions I had was the speech speed. You showed that you can change that a lot, which is great. And
yep. And that speech rate, I should say, you can go as high as 500 words per minute. So if you work anyone that, I know it's crazy, but I have met those that do use screen readers are very used to hearing text-to-speech voices, and they can easily pick up on what they're trying to say. So you can set it to as fast as really as you need to as well, and slow it down.
Right. Well, thanks. Great presentation. I appreciate it. I'm going to take this presentation that Anthony did and recorded it, and I'll have an edited version up on our website within a week. So, if you want to review it, just go back to our website. Also, I mentioned in the chat window that we have gotten together with some other ARC chapters in New York State and also some other organizations out of state, just to have an informal monthly chat, which we're calling the Tech Learning Exchange, because none of us can possibly know everything about the technology that's available to us out there. So we're trying to learn from each other. If any organization, you don't have to be an ARC chapter, any organization that wants to participate in this, just send me an email at jjankus, Jankus, at arcwestchester.org, and we'd love you to join our group, and it's a great way to exchange information. We've set up a Slack account too, so that we can get the direct mail exchange going. And in the interest of marketing, I'm going to mention again, we have a conference next Friday at the Mercy College campus in Dobbs Ferry, New York, our second annual Tech Supports for Cognition and Learning. Goes from 8 in the morning to 4:30 in the afternoon. A lot of great keynotes, 13 breakout sessions, and lots to learn and network. So once again, Anthony, thank you so much for your time. I hope I'll see you next week at the conference, and it's been a great experience. Oops, I got one hand that's up. Wait a second.
Oh, just down to the wire then.
Just down to the wire. Let's see what we got here. Will the app be available at the Play Store on Android?
Good question. We are currently working on the Android app as we speak. We are anticipating release right now. I will say it's not a priority for us in terms of summertime, so we're anticipating release either in the fall or in the very beginning of 2018.
Great. And also, I just remembered another question I had. Can I take any kind of EPUB document and just pop it in here?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. EPUB, DAISY, really any type of ebook format would work great.
Fantastic. All right. Again, thanks so much for your time. You're a great presenter. Really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Okay. Have a good weekend, everybody. Happy Mother's Day to the people out there that involves. Thanks for joining us.